More Perfect Union put out a video claiming that Amazon is running a secret scheme to rig prices across the internet.
It was a conspiracy hiding in plain sight. Who's behind it? Amazon.
But it just feels like fear-mongering from people who have clearly never been deeply involved in the retail industry. And I can say that because I spent over a decade in it. Made my way from stocking shelves to handling $100 million deals for a company you probably know. Most of what they call a conspiracy was literally my job. The point of this video isn't to defend Amazon. In fact, they gave me plenty of headaches during my time in retail, but it's to provide more context and a counterbalance to the incomplete and biased information presented in their video. This is my second take.
This pack of toilet paper, $8.44 at Amazon, Walmart, and a few other stores. A few weeks later, it's $8.96 in all locations. The soccer goal for kiddos, $24.97 across the board. Weird numbers, probably no accident. And it turns out it wasn't. So I did some digging and found myself staring down what appears to be an intricate scheme to rig the economy, raid your wallet, and squeeze small businesses.
Alright, strong opening. Somehow, matching prices with your competitors to maximize your savings to customers or increase your margins is equal to rigging the economy, raiding your wallet, and squeezing small businesses. The reality is, tactical pricing is a practice that's been going on for centuries, and Amazon is now just doing this online. In the past, big companies have often reduced prices below what their competitors could sell for, drive them out of business, and then they would raise prices afterwards. Predatory pricing. Amazon matching the prices of their competitors is fairly tame, all things considered.
Who's behind it? Amazon.
There has never been a company as powerful as Amazon.
What? Power in what way? Politically, Standard Oil had much more influence over America than any company does today. Sure, Amazon Web Services has the largest slice of the online cloud market, but arguably Google and Apple are more powerful tech companies. But this video is focused on retail. Well, in the US, Walmart makes more money in retail than Amazon does. They employ more people, and they're closing the gap in terms of online market share. So that isn't right either. Amazon may be the most successful online retailer in the world, but the idea that there has never been a company as powerful as Amazon is just flat out wrong. Especially if we look to companies outside of America like the East India Company in Britain. This company literally dominated the Western world at the time with trade and military. They had an army of over 260,000 people, which is twice that of the British military at times. So for the video to claim something like that this early on makes me question the legitimacy of the rest of it.
So one time Brain Flakes, which is our bestseller, got suspended for having a lower price on the Target marketplace.
At the time, Molson was selling Brain Flakes at Target for $19.98. Price listed on Amazon, $19.99. A 1-cent discrepancy that set off a rush to avoid financial disaster.
You're scrambling with your team, you're on Slack, you're shooting emails, you're making calls, you're doing everything you can to get back up. It's horrible, it's a horrible experience.
This is a standard occurrence with Amazon. The company schemes to have the lowest prices have been known under various names, price parity policy, fair market price guarantee among them.
Schemes, as if you need to call them schemes to provide your customers with the best prices. This is standard practice in the industry. Customers are extremely sensitive to prices, and many companies advertise having the lowest price, so even a penny can cause issues. It isn't just Amazon with these policies. JCPenney and Lowe's have a lowest price guarantee. Best Buy and Home Depot have a price match guarantee. Walmart and Target used to have policies, but eventually ended them. Promising the lowest price and enforcing it is just standard business practice, not an Amazon invention. When I first started, what we would do in this situation was lower our price to beat our competitors by a penny. So here we'd go to $19.97 or $19.89. If we wanted to be really aggressive, we'd push it down to $18.99. But then they just go to $18.98 and it became a race to the bottom and nobody was making money. So then I had to be selective about the battles I fought. And when it wasn't worth it, I would just match my competitors' pricing.
Think Amazon's pricing algorithms as Skynet, the all-seeing AI in the Terminator movies. When it sees competition, it takes action to, well, terminate it.
They flag it when the price for a product on Amazon is lower on another platform like Target or Walmart. And then they encourage the wholesaler to raise the price to match Amazon's price so that there is not a lower price out in the market that's lower than Amazon's.
Great fear-mongering with the scary-looking robot. This is standard practice in the industry. Back when I first started in procurement, they had me skimming through paper flyers and scanning competitor websites daily to make sure that we had the best prices. I got so sick of this that I ended up learning basic coding and how HTML worked to implement the first version of web scraping at the company. My point is, every major retailer is doing this, not just Amazon. I'd go as far to say that if you're in the business of selling stuff and you aren't tracking your competitors' prices or what they're doing, you're probably not going to make it. Side story. Once web scraping became more mainstream technology, it became an interesting game of cat and mouse. Everyone knew that everyone else was scraping websites for pricing, so you had to implement defensive countermeasures. At first, they would block IP addresses that pinged a website too many times, but then people started to use VPNs to get around it. Other tactics include signing for pricing, which is what Costco does. One of my favorite tactics was one where you would lead the scraper to a fake price. Back then, most product pages had their price marked in a line labeled price or something similar, and that's where the scraper would look to get the price. Well, one way around that was to create a new field and call it something else like sales price or special, and put the discounted price there for the customer to see. A simple scraper would look at the regular price and report that back to the guys playing offense while ignoring the sales price. You couldn't just update the scraper once to deal with it either, because the guys playing defense would just change the name or location of the field the next week. They could also change it so that depending on the category or product, the name of the sales price is different. So if you're trying to scrape it, you have to keep coming back and back again to check out the field. And I'm sure that the game has become even more complicated now with screen reading technology and AI.
Amazon saw that Levi's khakis were being provided on Walmart's online platform at a lower price than on Amazon. Amazon was selling it at $29.99, and on Walmart it was a little over $25 to $26.99. Amazon flagged that for Levi's and said, we need to get this resolved.
I get that this looks bad. Now, I don't know what sort of agreement Amazon has with Levi's, but imagine you're Amazon in this situation. You work with Levi's and you come to an agreement. We're going to sell your jeans at $29.99 and it's going to be the best price in the market. You go home all proud of your deal, but then the next day your boss sends you an angry email. Why the hell is Walmart selling your product for $3 less than us? Naturally, you'd then work with Levi's to come to a resolution. Resolution often meant getting the supplier to fork over some margin so I could sell my products at a lower price. That's a vendor negotiation, which happened all the time. If the competitor were to raise their prices, then I no longer had a pricing issue that needed to be resolved. This was a weekly occurrence for me. Hard to say who's at fault here because Walmart could have had the same agreement with Levi's to sell the jeans at $29.99, but then broke their side of the deal by dropping the price down to $26.99.
So what does Amazon do to these vendors that spook them so much? The punishment at the center of the lawsuits involves Amazon cutting off access to what's known as the buy box. You know, that box on the right with the add to cart and buy now buttons?
That's a special feature that exists on Amazon's platform where tons of sales are made. It's basically the recommended item when there's multiple choices.
Essentially, Amazon is designed so that if you don't have the buy box on an item, it's almost impossible for anyone to add your stuff to their cart.
If you lose the buy box on a best-selling product, that can mean not being profitable that month.
That's actually a pretty good tactic. So in physical retail stores, there are spots that are more valuable than others. Higher visibility or more foot traffic leading to greater sales of the products. Think the spaces at the end of aisles or the snacks out the checkout lanes. If a supplier does something to you that you think is unfair, you can move them out of the high value spots and put them in the low value spots as leverage. Or the nuclear options to just pull them off the floor altogether. In this situation, Amazon believes that having lower prices on their competitor's website is unfair. So they're increasing the friction of the sale of the product digitally rather than physically. Interesting tactic indeed.
Today, there are fees for reviews, fees for advertising, long-term storage fees, aged inventory fees. You have, we don't have enough stock in our warehouses fees.
In a competitive market, a truly competitive market, what would happen is that you would, as a seller, you would raise your prices on Amazon to absorb those fees, and you would have lower prices on cheaper platforms. And consumers would see those high prices on Amazon and they would start to shop on other platforms, and we began to get a more competitive marketplace. Amazon would feel that competitive pressure and maybe they would lower their fees so that you could lower your prices. That doesn't happen.
Once again, a complete misunderstanding on how things actually work. In every free market negotiation, every transaction, each party wants something that the other party has. If you're Amazon, you want to be the middleman between the supplier and the customer so you can collect a connection fee. If you're the supplier, you want to work with Amazon because they'll give you access to the largest online consumer base, as well as some other things they provide, like warehousing and distribution. However, if you want access to those things that Amazon provides, you have to play by Amazon's rules, which can include things like minimum margins. All of these fees you can think of as a cost of entry to use Amazon. The thing is, if you don't like it, you don't have to use them. No one is forcing them to use Amazon. They can use other marketplaces like Walmart, Best Buy, Etsy, or eBay, or set up their own shop using Shopify or other services. Mind you, all of these other guys take their cut also, but many people still use Amazon because despite how large of a cut they take, everything else they provide is so valuable that people are willing to pay it. The flip side is true as well. Amazon doesn't have to put your product on their website. If they feel like doing business with you is disadvantageous, they won't do it.
Amazon is monitoring prices across the web, and if it detects that another retailer lowers its price, it immediately matches that price. So what these other retailers' algorithms learn is they are never gonna win any more customers by lowering their prices. And what they do instead is decide, well, if I can't win any more customers, I might as well raise my prices and at least I'll make more profit margin on every sale that I do make. And what then happens is that Amazon sees that price rise and it matches the price hike. And over time, we start to see prices across the online market are being inflated because of Amazon's pricing algorithm.
Once again, this is standard business practice, not an Amazon exclusive. You want to make the most amount of money possible on your products while still being competitive. In the past, and likely still today, this is done by people physically checking stores and changing prices manually. I personally went to buy competitor stores all the time to figure out what their pricing was, because oftentimes they'd have a different price online versus what they advertise in store, especially during periods like Black Friday and other sales events. If it was a competitor in a different city, I would call up the local chain and have them send someone to go check out the prices. What Amazon and other retailers are doing online is just the modern tech-enabled version. The reason why retailers do this is trust. You want the customer to trust that they aren't making a mistake by choosing to shop with you. They trust that you have put in the work to provide them with the lowest price possible. You know that feeling when you buy something and then find it cheaper somewhere else the next day? It's not very good. A customer will only forgive a retailer a certain number of times before changing their shopping habits. It wasn't just retailers sending scouts to spy on pricing. Many manufacturers have pricing guidelines and will send their own people to make sure that you're meeting them. Luxury brands, for example, absolutely do not want you to devalue their product. Other brands got tired of retailers complaining to them about price wars and set up minimum advertising price rules where they'll punish you if you break them. And this is why you'll often see things like a product going on sale at multiple retailers at the same time. The manufacturer is trying to control the price. How is this legal, you may ask? This isn't like price fixing where you're colluding to keep the prices high. Retailers don't have to follow the minimum advertised price. They could set prices below it and not advertise it. The manufacturer also isn't forced to sell their products to any given retailer. Whoever has more leverage in the relationship usually wins. Think about a new iPhone launch. Everyone sells it at the same price. A retailer could sell their iPhone for less than the advertised price, but that would just piss Apple off. Apple could decide to cut that retailer off in the future, so they end up losing out on all the revenue and foot traffic that having an Apple product provides.
Looking at our BrainFlakes pirate ship and it just said high price on it. What is this? This is obviously killing sales. Imagine you go into a store and then the store representative says something like, okay, well you can buy this, but just warning you now, the price at this location is really high and you might be able to find a lower price somewhere else. And so our sales cratered. We scoured the internet. Was it Walmart? Is it Target? Is it Temu? Is it eBay? How is this happening?
As it turns out, none of the above. The product got dinged for being cheaper on Viahart's own website.
Imagine you own a farmer's market. You come to an agreement that a vendor can sell their apples for $3 in your market and you get a 30% cut. The apples sell well and everyone is happy. A couple of months later, that same apple vendor decides to set up their own shop across the street from you and tries to sell their apples for $2.50. Naturally, you'd be pretty upset because your own business partner is now trying to cut you out of the profit after you help sell and promote their apples. This is what Hart is doing here. Amazon retaliates by saying, hey, you aren't getting the best price if you buy this from us, which is well within their right to do so. There are so many other toys on Amazon's website where you're getting a better deal. Amazon doesn't want suppliers to use their platform to advertise their products, then have the customer go buy it directly from the supplier at a lower price.
These are just small vendors, mom and pops, somebody with an idea, somebody with a product, somebody with a dream of starting a business who need a place to meet consumers. They can't reach the market unless they're on Amazon.
This is a very narrow framing of reality. Plenty of businesses have been successfully operating online without Amazon. If a business has chosen to be dependent on Amazon to survive, then they have to play by Amazon's rules.
Is there a free market? It's a lot of like these large, powerful corporations making bad decisions for the entire marketplace, arguing that it's a free market, but in reality, the sellers and the small businesses that sell on those corporations, through those corporations, don't have the ability to set their own prices. So in that way, it's not really a free market.
What he's saying is that he can't compete on his own, therefore it's not a free market. Anyone can build their own website, run their own customer acquisition, do their own fulfillment, and everything else involved in running an online business. They don't because it's hard.
Amazon generates massive amounts of money.
And is that wrong? Amazon is able to provide tremendous value to customers and tremendous value to the people selling on their website. If they didn't, then people wouldn't use their services. Walmart, Costco, and anyone else will be happy to take on that revenue, but they don't because customers are still choosing Amazon, all things considered. If you watch this video and you think, oh, I don't agree with what Amazon is doing, then cancel your Prime subscription and stop buying from Amazon. For many other people, they're happy that Amazon is able to provide them a quick delivery on online purchases. They're happy that if they don't like the product, Amazon will give them their money back. And they're happy that when they buy on Amazon, they don't have to worry as much that they got a worse deal because some other website is selling it at a lower price. I am interested to see how the lawsuits mentioned in the video play out.
Including one from the Federal Trade Commission and one from the state of California. Berman, meanwhile, is the lead counsel in a class action lawsuit against Amazon for this stuff.
If the courts indeed find that Amazon is liable for anti-consumer practices, then that will shake up the environment significantly. I guarantee you that Amazon's competitors are watching this closely, and they're glad that all the heat is on Amazon and not them. Watching this video, it's clear that there is an anti-Amazon agenda. The practices that they call out are standard business and are nowhere near as evil as they make it out to be. The laws may see that differently, and if they change, that's fine. Everyone will have to play by the new rules. It's not like Amazon is doing something that their competitors aren't. I give it a PSYOP out of 10 for accuracy. If you found this video interesting, you might like this video I made about the profitable business of getting children addicted. Thank you for watching.